Have you ever, like, felt this kind of driving desire so strong that it feels like it could just completely consume you? Or have you ever felt like certain things in your life were almost, like, meant to be, like it was destiny or something?
That's such a great question. And it's fascinating because those very human experiences, that pull of ambition and that sense of destiny, are explored so powerfully in one of Shakespeare's most famous plays, Macbeth.
Right, exactly. And for this deep dive, we're not just skimming the surface here. We went deep, like really deep, into all sorts of thought-provoking material on Macbeth. Detailed guides, analyses, all focused on the big themes that make this play so relevant, even all these centuries later.
Yeah, and our mission here is to unpack those really essential ideas that Shakespeare's grappling with in Macbeth. We want to give you a clear sense of those core messages and why they still resonate with us today.
So let's get right into it, huh? And I think a good place to start is with what feels like the driving force behind so much of the action: ambition. And it's not just about wanting something more or better, is it? It seems like it can become this, almost like this force of nature.
Exactly. In Macbeth, ambition isn't just portrayed as a simple desire,
Mhm.
right? It's this incredibly potent and ultimately corrosive force. You see, it twists this character who, at first, is all about courage and loyalty into this, well, a ruthless tyrant, basically.
Yeah.
Shakespeare really gives us this stark warning about what happens when that desire for power goes unchecked.
It's like something we see play out in the real world all the time, too. Someone starts with this drive to succeed, and then somewhere along the way, things take a dark turn, like they cross these ethical boundaries.
Absolutely. And you see the beginning of that transformation with Macbeth so clearly. He's this war hero at the start, celebrated, and then boom, those witches hit him with the prophecy, about becoming Thane of Cawdor and then king. It's like that initial spark that ignites everything.
Yeah, that's it, the catalyst. But initially, Macbeth is really torn, right? He knows what it would mean to kill King Duncan. It's not like he's blind to the moral implications.
Totally. He even talks about this internal struggle he's got going on. He knows his vaulting ambition or leaps itself and falls in the other, Act 1, Scene 7. I mean, he recognizes how dangerous, how unstable that unchecked desire can be. But the ambition, well, it starts to take over.
It's like that seed gets planted and then it just grows, like twisting around everything in its path. And the crazy thing is, becoming king isn't enough, is it? Based on all the stuff we read, it's like it just fuels his need for more violence.
Exactly. Achieving power doesn't actually satisfy his ambition. It almost makes things worse. It creates this deep-seated fear of losing what he's gained. And that fear, it breeds more violence. He kills Banquo, then innocent people, and it spirals from there. His ambition creates this constant paranoia that isolates him even more.
And let's not forget about Lady Macbeth. I mean, she's a huge part of this. Her ambition is just, wow, it's almost scarier than Macbeth's in the beginning.
Right. What's so striking about Lady Macbeth is how she actually tries to get rid of what she sees as these, like, feminine traits, compassion, empathy, stuff like that. She thinks those qualities will hold them back. Remember that line, "Unsex me here and fill me from the crown to the toe top full of direst cruelty." Act 1, Scene 5.
Whoa, yeah. She thinks cruelty is the key to grabbing power. I mean, it really makes you think about the pressures, the expectations that society puts on people based on their gender, doesn't it?
For sure. And she is so good at manipulating those expectations to get Macbeth to do what she wants. Basically saying that real men take decisive action, even if it means brutal violence. Remember that line, "Art thou afeard to be the same in thine own act and valor as thou art in desire?" Act 1, Scene 7. It's like she's directly attacking his sense of manhood.
Yeah, and that pressure, that fear of appearing weak, that's a big part of why he makes that final decision to kill the king.
Absolutely. And the consequences of all that are just completely devastating. Macbeth becomes this hated tyrant, meets a violent end, and Lady Macbeth, well, her ambition ends tragically too. She really crumbles under the weight of their crimes.
You see it in that sleepwalking scene. She's trying so desperately to wash away the blood she imagines on her hands, but she can't escape it.
It's heartbreaking. She goes mad with guilt and ends up killing herself. Both characters are ultimately destroyed by the very thing that drove them in the first place, that ambition.
And there's that one line where Macbeth seems to realize in this awful way how empty it all was. Out, out, brief candle, life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. Act 5, Scene 5. It's so bleak, like he's saying, what was it all for?
I know, it's such a powerful image.
Mhm.
He realizes in the end that all that striving, all that betrayal, It didn't lead to any real fulfillment. It's like his life was just this meaningless performance.
And the play seems to suggest it's not just about these two individuals, right? It's like their ambition, their actions, particularly killing Duncan, has this ripple effect on the whole kingdom.
Oh, totally. When we think about the bigger picture, Duncan's murder, it's like this huge disruption of the entire natural order. The play is full of these really unnatural events, these strange happenings, and it seems to be directly connected to what's going on morally and politically.
Which leads perfectly to the next big element we wanted to talk about, that super eerie world of the supernatural. It's not just there for spooky vibes, is it? It's like it's tied to everything else that's going on.
No, not at all. The supernatural stuff in Macbeth is crucial. It adds this layer of unease, of mystery, but it also pushes the plot forward and gives us a glimpse into the characters' minds, like how they see the world.
And those three witches, they're right at the heart of this supernatural world, aren't they? They're the ones who put those ideas in Macbeth's head in the first place.
Exactly. Those prophecies, all hail Macbeth, hail to thee, Thane of Glamis, all hail Macbeth, hail to thee, Thane of Cawdor, all hail Macbeth, that shall be king hereafter. Act 1, Scene 3. They're like the starting point. They spark his ambition, make him start thinking about how he could be king.
But the thing is, those prophecies, they're not exactly straightforward, are they? Like, there's a lot of room for misinterpretation. It's almost like there's this element of deception built in.
Right. They're super ambiguous, and I think that's intentional. Like Banquo says, these are instruments of darkness that often tell the truth, but they do it to lead people into trouble. Act 1, Scene 3. And the way Macbeth misinterprets those later prophecies, well, it's a big part of why he ends up destroyed.
And it's not just the witches themselves. It's like the whole atmosphere, you know? There are all these strange, unsettling events happening that seem to mirror the evil that's unfolding.
You see it everywhere. There are violent storms, darkness in the middle of the day, animals acting weird like the owl killing the falcon. It's like the world itself is out of whack, reflecting how messed up things are morally and politically in Scotland.
And then you've got those really intense, personal, supernatural moments like the dagger Macbeth sees, Banquo's ghost, the blood Lady Macbeth keeps trying to wash off her hands.
Those are so powerful. It's like we get to see directly into their minds, see how they're falling apart. The bloody dagger appears to Macbeth right before he kills Duncan. Is this a dagger which I see before me? The handle toward my hand. Act 2, Scene 1. Then he's haunted by Banquo's ghost after the murder. Thou canst not say I did it. Never shake thy gory locks at me. Act 3, Scene 4. It all shows how much guilt he's carrying and how unstable he's becoming.
And Lady Macbeth with the blood. Out, damned spot. Out, I say. Act 5, Scene 1. Such a strong image, isn't it? You can't get it out of your head.
Yeah, it's like she's desperately trying to get rid of the evidence of their crime, but it's not just physical blood, right? It's the guilt that's really staining her. She can't escape it.
You know, it's interesting. A lot of the sources we looked at suggest that those visions, those hallucinations, they could be interpreted as not just supernatural events, but as expressions of their inner turmoil, like their guilt and fear taking shape.
That's a key point. While the supernatural definitely adds to the creepy atmosphere, those visions can also be seen as a way of showing us the characters' mental states. Their guilt and paranoia are so strong that they start to see things.
And this is all happening in a time when people really believed in witches,
Oh,
right?
yeah. During Shakespeare's time, belief in witchcraft wasn't just for, like, a small group of people. It was widespread. Even King James that was super interested in it.
Yeah.
So when Shakespeare includes these elements in the play, he's tapping into very real fears and fascinations that his audience had.
So the supernatural in Macbeth, it's not just some random plot device. It's this force that's tempting characters, pulling them towards doing evil things.
It preys on those desires and anxieties that are already there, making them bigger and pushing people towards making really bad decisions.
Okay, so we've got this intense ambition and all this supernatural stuff going on. But now, let's dive into this whole idea of appearance versus reality. Because it seems like in Macbeth, nothing is ever quite what it seems.
Oh, that's huge in Macbeth.
Right.
It's all about this uncertainty, this idea that you can't trust what you see on the surface. Things are hidden, and there's a lot of deception going on.
Right from the start, those wishes, prophecies, they seem like good news for Macbeth. But then, everything goes horribly wrong.
It's like their pronouncements have these little bits of truth in them, but they're worded in this way that's meant to mislead. It sets the stage for how appearances can be so deceiving throughout the whole play.
And Macbeth himself, he becomes a master of this deception pretty quickly, right? Like right after he meets the witches.
Well, oh, absolutely. He's putting on this act for King Duncan, all this loyalty, this gracious host stuff, while he's secretly planning to murder him. It's like what Lady Macbeth tells him, look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under. Act 1, Scene 5.
And Lady Macbeth, she's no shrinking violet either. She's got her own ways of hiding her true intentions.
At first, she seems so strong, so in control, like she doesn't even care about guilt or anything. But then it all comes crashing down. That sleepwalking scene is so powerful. She cries out, here's the smell of the blood still. All the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand. Act 5, Scene 1. Like the reality of what they've done just breaks through her facade.
We also see Macbeth being all friendly and buddy-buddy with Banquo right up until the moment he has him killed. It's all a performance.
Exactly. He's trying to cover up his fear and jealousy, especially because of that prophecy about Banquo's descendants. It shows how easily trust can be manipulated and abused.
In King Duncan, he's such a tragic figure. He's totally blind to what's really going on. He trusts the wrong people again and again.
It's so sad. He says it himself. There's no art to find the mind's construction in the face. He was a gentleman on whom I built an absolute trust. Act 1, Scene 4. He just doesn't see the betrayal coming.
And throughout the play, those asides and soliloquies are so effective because you get to hear what the characters are really thinking, even when they're saying something completely different out loud.
Totally. Those moments give us, the audience, this secret window into their real intentions. It's this stark contrast to how they're acting in public. Like that moment when Macbeth says, stars, hide your fires, let not light see my black and deep desires, Act 1, Scene 4, right after Duncan praises him in his castle.
And there are all these lines in the play that just perfectly capture this theme, those short, sharp sentences that just hit you.
Yeah, like right from the start, fair is foul and foul is fair. Act 1, Scene 1. It's so creepy, and it sets up that feeling of moral confusion that runs through the whole play. Or when Macbeth says, false face must hide what the false heart doth know, Act 1, Scene 7. He knows he's being deceptive, but he's decided that's the way to go.
Donald Bain has that great line, too. There's daggers in men's smiles, Act 2, Scene 3. That one really captures the sense of danger, how you can't be sure who to trust.
For sure. And that constant uncertainty, that inability to know who's being truthful, well, it creates this incredible suspense and adds to the overall tragedy of the story.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit. Something else we noticed in all the research is this theme of nature being disturbed, thrown out of whack. It's like the natural world itself is reacting to all the moral corruption going on.
Yeah, there's definitely this connection that Shakespeare's drawing between what's happening in the human world and in the natural world. They mirror each other. So when things go wrong morally, like with Duncan's murder, the natural world seems to reflect that.
Now, the source material mentions this idea called the Great Chain of Being. Could you explain a bit more about that? What did people believe back then, and how does it relate to the play?
Sure. In Shakespeare's time, people believed in this hierarchical order of everything in creation, starts with God at the top, then angels, humans, animals, plants, and so on. And the king was seen as God's representative on earth. So killing the king. That wasn't just a political crime. It was a huge sin, like an attack on the whole universe, on God's order.
So King Duncan, he's not just a king. He represents goodness and order in the natural world, too.
Right. He's associated with fairness, justice, harmony. So his murder, it's not just an attack on him personally. It's like this violation of everything good and natural.
And right after his death, all these crazy, unnatural things start happening, right?
Yeah. You've got those intense storms, the earth shaking, it's dark during the day. It's like that line, by the clock 'tis day, and yet dark night strangles the traveling lamp, Act 2, Scene 4. Even the animals go nuts, like that falcon being killed by an owl. Totally unnatural.
The sources talk about this thing called pathetic fallacy, too. It's where the natural world, like the weather or animal behavior, reflects the mood of the story or what's happening to the characters.
Oh yeah, that's a technique Shakespeare uses throughout the play. Those storms, the darkness, the weird animal stuff, it's all symbolic, right? It's reflecting the chaos and darkness that's taken over Scotland after Duncan's murder.
There are some lines in the play that really drive that home, too.
Totally. Fair is foul, and foul is fair, Act 1, Scene 1. That sets the tone right from the beginning. And then there's Macbeth's line, sleep no more, Act 2, Scene 2, showing how disrupted everything is. Even nature's rhythms are thrown off. And then the line about the earth being feverous and shaking, Act 2, Scene 3, that's nature reacting to all the evil.
And our sources even connect Lady Macbeth's wish to be unsexed to this theme, don't they? It's like another example of how natural order is messed up.
Right. It's like her rejecting traditional feminine qualities and wanting to be more ruthless is also a disruption of the natural order.
And in the end, it's Malcolm, the rightful heir, who represents a return to that natural order and harmony, right?
Exactly. When Malcolm becomes king, it's like everything can finally start to go back to how it should be. The great chain of being is restored.
Now, with all this darkness, the betrayal, and the natural world in chaos, it's not surprising that guilt and paranoia start to really mess with our main characters.
Yeah, it's really central to the whole tragedy of the play. Their ambition starts it all, but it's the guilt and paranoia that eat away at them and ultimately destroy them. It's like a powerful message about what happens when you do evil things.
In Macbeth, it seems like he's hit with this wave of guilt right after the murder, doesn't he? Sleep no more. That line really gets to that feeling of losing your peace of mind.
You can really feel his regret, his unease. He knows he's crossed a line, and it's going to haunt him. And then that guilt turns into this paranoia where he doesn't trust anyone. It pushes him to more violence, making him even more isolated.
And Lady Macbeth, she puts on a brave face at first, but she breaks down in this really dramatic way.
She seems stronger in the beginning, telling Macbeth to just brush off his guilt. But she can't keep it up forever. It all comes out in that sleepwalking scene. She's obsessed with washing her hands, trying to get rid of this imaginary blood. She even asks, "What will these hands ne'er be clean?" Act 5, Scene 1. It's like the guilt is permanently stained on her.
It's interesting how their guilt shows up in such different ways. Macbeth gets more outwardly cruel and paranoid, while Lady Macbeth seems to retreat inward into her own world of torment.
Exactly. Macbeth's paranoia feeds his tyranny. He's trying to find some kind of security through violence, but it just makes things worse. Meanwhile, Lady Macbeth is just falling apart mentally, and it leads to her self-destruction.
It's like in that scene at the banquet with Banquo's ghost. Macbeth's completely freaking out. He's so consumed by guilt and paranoia, he's seeing things.
Right. That ghost is a perfect visual representation of his mental state. He says, "Oh, full of scorpions is my mind," Act 3, Scene 2. It's like his mind is just this battlefield of guilt and fear.
And Lady Macbeth and her hand washing, that's such a powerful image that really sticks with you.
Yeah. No matter how hard she tries to wash her hands, the blood's still there. It's a symbol of how she can't escape the consequences of what she's done.
So it's like their guilt and paranoia, they become their punishment even before anything else happens to them.
Exactly. They suffer internally, psychologically, because of their actions. The play really shows how destructive evil can be, how it can twist people from the inside out.
Now, another thing we noticed in the research is that there's a lot of talk about what it means to be a man in this play. Like, it's really exploring different ideas about masculinity.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's looking at masculinity in this very specific historical context.
Mm.
At the start, Macbeth is like the perfect warrior. He embodies all those traditional ideas about what a man should be: brave, strong, a fighter.
But then Lady Macbeth comes along and she kind of flips all that on its head. She manipulates him by questioning his manhood, right?
She knows exactly how to push his buttons. She says to him, "When you durst do it, then you were a man." Act 1, Scene 7. It's like she's saying real men act, even if it means being ruthless. And remember how she wants to be unsexed? Act 1, Scene 5. She thinks she needs to get rid of her feminine side to be cruel and ambitious.
But the play doesn't seem to be saying that being a man is just about aggression and power, does it? Other characters, like Macduff, show a different side of masculinity.
You're right. When Macduff finds out his family's been murdered, he's heartbroken, but he still wants revenge. Malcolm tells him to dispute it like a man, like go all out with your anger. But Macduff says, "I shall do so, but I must also feel it as a man." Act 4, Scene 3. He's saying it's okay to grieve, to be emotional, to feel things deeply, and that's part of being a man too.
And it's like Macbeth is really insecure about his own masculinity, especially because of how Lady Macbeth challenges him.
Yeah, he's terrified of appearing weak. He lets her manipulate him because he doesn't want to seem less of a man. It shows how damaging it can be when you define manhood solely by, like, dominance and power.
So ultimately, the play is asking, what does it really mean to be a man? Is it all about violence and power, or are there other things that are just as important?
Exactly. It's questioning those traditional ideas of masculinity and showing how harmful they can be.
And woven into all this are the themes of loyalty and betrayal. They're kind of like the moral compass of the play, aren't they? Like what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah, totally. The play makes a big deal about how important loyalty is, especially to your king, your country, and your friends. And then it shows how devastating betrayal can be when ambition and selfishness take over. It's saying loyalty is essential for a good society.
At the beginning, we see how loyal Macbeth is to King Duncan. He's this respected soldier. Everyone thinks highly of him.
Right. And Duncan himself, he's all about loyalty. He punishes anyone who betrays him, like the original Thane of Cawdor, and he always wants to reward all those who do good. Act 1, Scene 4. Loyalty is his number one thing.
And then, when Macbeth kills Duncan, it's like the ultimate betrayal. He throws away everything.
It's like he betrays his king, his guest, his kinsman, all in one go. And Lady Macbeth is right there with him, encouraging him, pretending to be loyal, while secretly plotting.
But there are other characters, like Banquo and Macduff, who show what real loyalty means.
Banquo, he's suspicious of the witches from the start, and he stays loyal to Duncan and Macduff. He chooses Scotland over Macbeth, even though it's dangerous. He goes to get help from Malcolm in England, putting his country first.
And all those betrayals Macbeth commits, they have these huge consequences. The country falls apart, there's chaos and violence, and he ends up completely alone.
Absolutely. Scotland becomes this terrible place under his rule, and nobody really supports him. Even his soldiers just follow him out of fear. It's like in those lines, move only in command, nothing in love, and none serve him but constrain things whose hearts are absent too. Act 5, Scene 2 and 4.
So the play is really showing us that loyalty matters, that it's the foundation for a good and stable society.
Exactly. It's a contrast between the paths of loyalty and betrayal.
Now, let's talk about the theme of kingship and order. The play really shows us what it means to be a good ruler and what it means to be a bad one.
And this is important because during Shakespeare's time, there was a lot of discussion about what good leadership meant. Macbeth gives us two very different examples.
King Duncan, he's almost like this ideal king, right? He's kind, fair, and he genuinely cares about his people.
He's the model of a good king. He wants what's best for everyone. But he's got this one flaw, that trust we were talking about earlier. It ends up being his downfall.
And Macbeth, well, he's the complete opposite when he becomes king.
He's a tyrant. He rules through fear and violence, caring only about keeping himself in power. Scotland suffers under his rule.
Now, there's this idea called the divine right of kings that comes up in the source material. Can you explain what that is and how it connects to this theme?
Sure. Back then, people believed that kings got their power directly from God. So challenging the king was like challenging God himself. That's why Macbeth killing Duncan is such a big deal. It's not just a murder, it's sacrilege.
So Macbeth's rule is even worse because he has no real right to the throne, does he?
Right. He took it by force. He didn't inherit it. And he has no heir, so it adds to the sense of disorder. It's like the whole natural order is broken.
So it's a really clear contrast, isn't it? You got Duncan, who's a good king, serving his people, and then Macbeth, who's just a tyrant, obsessed with holding on to power.
Exactly. And the play shows us what happens when you have each type of ruler. With Duncan, there's peace and prosperity, and with Macbeth, there's chaos and suffering.
Finally, let's talk about this question that the play raises. Destiny versus choice. Was Macbeth destined to become a tyrant, or did he make his own choices that led him down that path?
Yeah, this is one of those questions that people have been debating for centuries. Shakespeare doesn't give us a clear answer, and that's what makes it so interesting to think about.
The witch's prophecies definitely make it seem like his future is already set, right?
Those prophecies plant the idea that he's meant to be king. And at first, he even thinks, maybe I could just wait for it to happen without doing anything. Act 1, Scene 4.
But he doesn't just sit around, does he? He takes action to make those prophecies come true, and that leads to a lot of bloodshed.
Right. He chooses to kill Duncan, even though he could have just waited to see what happened. Banquo, on the other hand, he's much more cautious about the prophecies. So it shows how much free will Macbeth actually has.
And some sources argue that believing in a predetermined fate can actually influence your choices too. Like, if you think something's going to happen anyway, it can change how you act.
That's a really interesting point. Macbeth gets so fixated on those prophecies that they become his excuse for doing terrible things. He chooses to believe them, and that shapes his decisions. He kills Banquo. He goes back to the witches for more prophecies, even though he's been warned about them.
So the play doesn't tell us for sure whether it's fate or free will that determines Macbeth's path. It's up to us to decide what we think.
It's this beautiful ambiguity that makes you really think. The witches give Macbeth a glimpse of a possible future, but it's his own ambition and choices that lead him to his tragic end.
So just to sum up all the big ideas we've covered today, We talked about the dangers of unchecked ambition, how the supernatural messes with everything, that idea that things aren't always what they seem, how nature reacts to evil, the destructive power of guilt and paranoia, what it means to be a man, the importance of loyalty, the difference between good and bad leaders, and that huge question of fate versus free will.
And I think the takeaway here is that Macbeth isn't just some old play, right? It's a story that's still relevant because it deals with these fundamental truths about human nature and the way societies work.
Exactly. So as you go forward, think about Macbeth's story. How much of your own life is shaped by things you can't control, and how much is up to you? And when you look at the world today, what are the modern day Macbeths, those figures driven by ambition and willing to do anything for power? These are questions worth thinking about, long after you finish reading or watching Macbeth.